Destination Yori, the morning programme. Danielle, and your second name, Danielle?
Doherty.
Doherty, yes indeed. I should remember that, and I don't. I'm a silly old thing, I really am. Danielle Doherty, and you're a hospice helper. You're a person who goes and treks. We'll hear about that in a moment. And Sarah Colgan, you organise all of the fundraising, and isn't it terrible that you have so much fundraising to organise? Because if the government was anything like a government, it would fund you properly, and they don't do it, which is awful.
Well, they do fund us partly, Rowan.
Yeah,
so
sixpence in the pound or something. Yeah, it's a nonsense. Guy, get it sorted out, politicians. Hospice needs your money. This lady's too polite to say it, but I'm not. And I can speak on their behalf without seeking their permission to so do. It is a nonsense in my National Health Service that you guys in the government are for, what is it, you're required to raise 2/3 of the money, are you?
Yes, and the government would fund about 27p in every pound for us.
27p in every pound. How
so we do have
terrible.
to raise 2.3 million.
Well, it all says good luck and it all says well done, because you do it, and you do it constantly, and you do it with excellence.
Well, it wouldn't just be me, Rowan. It's our supporters. We have so many dedicated supporters throughout the Southern Trust. So if we didn't have the community on our side, you know, we certainly wouldn't be able to reach the target. But thankfully, we're definitely on track for that this year.
Yeah, and you will continue to be on track for it, because, Sarah Colgan, it's in all our interests that hospice is strong.
It is, yeah.
You're at the caring heart of our community, and at a very important point in people's lives, you know, the end of their lives.
Yeah.
So the business up there, I remember doing one of my first, well, it exists somewhere. It was the work of the hospice, and I called it Dreaming of Spring, because the people who were there, it was a DVD, and the people who were there 30 years ago, they were dying, they were passing away, but they were all full of joy and happiness as a consequence of the care they were experiencing. And to a man and woman, they were all looking forward to something better to come. And that's at the heart of hospice, in a way.
Yeah, it is, yeah. I think anybody who's been touched by hospice care often wants to make it a part of their lives, you know, and give something back. So the treks that Danielle has taken part in, and particularly the likes of the Camino, are really good ways for people, you know, to start giving something back after the experience that they've had.
Danielle, you did the trek. How many treks have you done?
I've only completed one so far.
Oh, did you hear the word only? I've only completed one so far. And pray tell the people where the one was to.
It was to the Sahara Desert.
I've only gone to the Sahara Desert, and I've, you know, for goodness sake, well done.
Thank you.
So talk me through the process of the trek in the Sahara Desert. What happened? What did you do? How did it work out?
Yeah, we went, it would be this time last year. We went in November. We trekked for 5 days across. It was in Morocco. It was an experience, to say the least. We went from boiling temperatures through the day to minus temperatures at night.
And did you camp at night, or did
We
you
did
have
indeed. We did indeed.
You camped. You were like Bedouins
We were indeed, yeah.
in the desert.
We had guides throughout the
Yes.
trek, so we did.
And were they indigenous people? Were they Moroccan?
They were locals, and they took us round. They talked us through the history of their area, and each night they give us a session of what their traditions would be in music.
Yeah.
So they did.
Did you find any? It's said that the Moroccan people, the North African people, the Berber people, were the kind of progenitors of the Celtic nation, and that our music is quite similar.
Yes, well, they love a good sing and dance. That was certainly. We tried to teach them a few Irish dancing moves. It didn't really work out, but yeah, we had. They taught us a lot actually in our week that we were with them.
So you had an enjoyable week. You had a challenging week.
I did, yes.
But it was a week which you had the ultimate satisfaction of knowing would help hospice.
Yes.
How did that end of it work in terms of what money did you raise? How much of it went to hospice, and how much of it went to fund your travelling and your presence in the country?
Well, actually, what we had to do was we raised 3,500.
Yeah.
I actually went above in my fundraising, which was pleasing.
By how much?
I ended up raising 4,200.
You were great.
Yeah, so I was happy enough.
You were. Why wouldn't you be?
But that certainly, Sarah and the girls in the office organised the trip for us, and we just raised the money. And then do the
So
youth
your
city,
your 4,200 went to Sarah.
yeah. It did indeed.
How much of that went to hospice?
Well, for our challenges run, we try to work on about a 30% cost.
So
basis.
30% gets the folk there,
Yeah,
and the other 70%
yeah.
goes to hospice.
Yeah, but obviously
That's
because
good.
we are a charity, we do get quite competitive rates, you know, with
Yeah,
travel
of course,
providers.
of course.
And we try to keep that as low as possible to
Yeah.
make sure, you know, the maximum funds go to the hospice. But as Danielle was saying, a lot of people, once they get into fundraising, it becomes a part of their life, and people do tend to even go over their target. So
Yeah.
generally, for example, with the Camino last year, nearly every participant went over their target, and I
Yeah.
think they raised over £100,000 for the hospice. So once
Wow,
it becomes
in one Camino.
they did, yeah, and there's only about 30 people went on the trip. So, you know, once you get into the rhythm of it and it becomes part of what you do, you can be surprised at what you can achieve.
Absolutely, it's amazing altogether. Now this year you're going to Iceland.
Yes.
Now tell me about that. Where in Iceland are you going? What will you be doing there? What do you know about Iceland? What's the enthusiasm in your down in the furnace core of your being?
Well, I suppose I could probably tell you more about the details of the trip, Rowan. We'll be going in August next year. We're walking one of the most famous trails in Iceland. Now, don't ask me to pronounce it.
Oh, I shan't.
It's very long-winded.
If you promise not to ask me to pronounce the name of the volcano that spewed its ash and grounded all the aircraft in the land 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it's Iceland obviously has some of the most breathtaking landscape. The trail is about 5 days of walking,
Yes.
and it'll take you through everything from greenery right through to hot springs and volcanoes, glaciers. So it's a very dramatic trail. It would be the landscape would be really varied each day. I think that's really the draw for Iceland. It has something different every single day of the walk, and it is quite difficult as well. It will be quite an intense climb. So I think it's not for the faint-hearted. It's certainly a challenging trek, but obviously Danielle has her walking legs well warmed up from the Sahara. So
How many miles were you walking a day in the Sahara?
Offhand, I'm not totally sure. I think it was around 15, 16 maybe.
Yeah, and you were walking in sand, were you?
It was sand dunes for some of it.
My
and
God,
then we
that's
walked,
difficult.
And we walked on hollow ground for some other parts
Hollow
of it.
ground?
Yes.
What's hollow ground?
It echoed underneath us.
Really?
So it did for a while, yes. That was an
But you're
experience.
still sand there.
Still sand, yes.
Did you get walking on shrub roads or bush roads at all?
No, nothing like that at all.
All sand the whole way.
We
And you
travelled.
were doing 15, 16 miles a day, and that's difficult.
We travelled through a dry river, as they called it.
Wow, a dry riverbed, and you followed the course of the river.
We did indeed.
Goodness gracious, it's amazing. The Camino was very exciting.
it is, yeah. We're delighted that we're going to be doing it again next
Yeah,
year. So
yeah.
we now have places on that as well.
Yes, and I wonder about, it's wonderful. It works for individuals, but what happens when you're living for 5 or 6 days, cheek by jowl, with other people on the Camino, or on the trek in the Sahara, or through Iceland? Do you start to get on each other's nerves at all?
No, well, that didn't happen in the Sahara, I know that much.
Yeah.
They more become family more so than getting on each other's nerves.
You were like a big family.
We pretty much were, yeah.
Well, I suppose that the compatibility of people you would need to be aware of too, or do you just leave that to fate?
I think you leave that to fate, Rowan. I think it happens organically, really. People, I suppose, are all there for a similar reason.
Yes,
But people will
yes.
naturally gravitate towards
Yes.
maybe people that they are similar to. But you'll be
Yes.
surprised as well that people often make unlikely friends that they never expected to. So I think it all depends on the location. But I've never had any negative
Yeah,
experiences
that's good.
now.
And I must ask you, the converse of that, has the organic growth experience resulted in lifetime unions emerging from it? People falling in love?
I'm not sure about anybody falling in love, but I know there have been some good friendships made,
That
certainly
sounds
from our treks.
Yeah.
I think it's an experience which does bind people, it stays with them. And as Danielle would say, it's something that a lot of people try to continue then,
Yeah.
they kind of catch the bug, so to speak,
Of
and
course.
they want to continue meeting new people, because everybody knows that meeting new people keeps you young and it keeps
Yeah.
you,
You
optimistic.
did the Camino, yeah?
Yeah, I did it in May of this
And
year.
how many miles of it did you do?
It was 115 kilometres, so
And what would you've done? Would you've done 25 a day, or?
roughly, yeah. Some of the
Yeah.
days, there's a couple of days are shorter than that, but they're steeper. So you walk for 6 days and you're talking about 20k a day.
Yeah, that really, in real terms, is Newry to Warren Point is 6 miles. Another 6 miles, 4 miles out to Restrever, that's 10 miles. And then from Restrever back to Newry again.
Yeah, almost.
That's a lot of walking.
It sounds like a lot, but I think the crack and the journey along the way breaks it up. You know,
and you have the break up for your meals and stuff.
You do.
Whatever,
Yeah.
So as you're walking along, the auberge system works? People stay in little hostels and things like that?
Yeah, well, people can stay. That would be the normal way to put yourself up on the Camino, but because we travel in a large group, we actually book accommodation along the way.
So you book in hotels, would you?
Well, it wouldn't be your typical fancy hotel. It would be just 2-star, kind of basic.
Sounds all right.
It's just really, it's nothing glamorous, but it's enough to keep the group together and, you know, just to keep that sense of camaraderie along the trail.
Have you enough time on the Camino to experience the culture, the hospitality, the cuisine of northern Spain?
You do, absolutely. I mean, I think you're kind of slapped in the face with the culture as soon as you get there. The Camino is very...
Where do you land? You come in, you land where?
We fly
Santiago?
into Santiago,
itself.
And then you're actually transferred then to the start of the walk. And
Which is you're going away then from Santiago.
Yeah.
The airport's there, you turn left rather than right, and you're way back out that road.
Yeah, and then you make your way back to Santiago then. But the laws surrounding the accommodation and food providers along the Camino are quite strict. There's no commercial restaurants, and it's all very local and traditional. So everywhere you go, you know, you meet the local people, you experience the culture, you taste the local specialties in every town. So it's really nice.
So is there anything stands out? I'm a devil for me, good Mediterranean grub. Is there anything stands out in your mind as to the food you had?
Yeah, I suppose one of the pilgrims' favourites would be like a Spanish omelette. So everybody knows what that is.
What
yeah.
goes into a Spanish omelette in Spain?
It's basically an
peppers?
omelette. It would be an omelette with vegetables like peppers, onions, but
wee bit of potato.
Potato is what would kind of probably not cheese. I'm not sure.
I'm pressing this. I'm pressing this on because I feel tonight's dinner coming. I'm thinking what I'll have for dinner tonight. You know. But the Sahara Desert, what did you eat, Danielle?
We had great food actually in the desert.
What did you have? Was it cooked on open fires?
We had a chef that travelled with us.
And what did he cook on?
It was a range of meals. We had chicken and chips one night, you know, to blend us in, as they say. Lentil was a lot of the food that we had. Fish was quite regularly given to us. Yeah, the range of meals were throughout the week were great. Yeah, I can't think offhand. Sorry.
Well, listen, it's so good to be aware of all of this. Now, how do people get involved, Sarah?
Well, if you want to get involved in any challenge with the hospice, it's just a matter of contacting our fundraising office. So the number is 3025 1333.
Sorry, we're going to say it slow. 3025
1333.
33. I'm actually going to say that again, so that you have no excuse now. You're scuttling around there trying to get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil to write it down. Hospice challenge, you know, and it's well worth doing. 3025 1333. 3025 1333. That's the hospice challenge, and next year it is Iceland. Now, I'm going to play you a bit of music to say thank you to you, and tomorrow in that chair will be sitting Phil Coulter, the great singer-songwriter of Ireland, and Phil and I have a commonality in Africa. I have interests in sub-Saharan Africa, up there close to the Sahara. Phil has interests in Gambia, and those shared interests brought him to Newry to do a special concert for my African schools about 4 years ago. And just to celebrate our Africanness, if you like, I've got here an introduction to the Kenyan Boys Choir. That's the very last one on your sheet, Andrew. This introduction to the Kenyan Boys Choir marks my interest in Africa and the interest of Phil Coulter in Africa. And if you're about tomorrow, come over and say hello to him, and you get a photograph with him and get him to sing for you. He's a new CD coming out tomorrow, which is good. he'll be doing it here. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Ron.
All the best
Thank
to you,
you.
Sarah. Danielle, and I'll say it to the folk before you go. Dare to be a Danielle. Dare to stand alone. Dare to have a purpose. And dare to have it known. This lady has a purpose. This lady has hospice as her purpose. Andrew.